within Customer 360 model within Salesforce Data 360, we have individual, which represents a particular entity, a particular profile, and this individual is tied to other objects which are known as contact points data model objects. These objects like contact point phone, contact point email, contact point address, contact point social helps connect contact points of the individual. Now individual is a profile. It will have first name, last name. It will also have email address, phone number, physical mailing address, social profiles. So all these contact points, which are phone, email, address, social profiles, will be mapped to contact point data model objects. Each kind of contact point has a specific contact point data model object. Like we have contact point phone to store phone number of individual. We have email to store email of an individual. We have address which stores physical mailing address of an individual. We have social which stores social profile like X profile, Instagram handle, Facebook handle of a particular individual. Now we have two data lake objects which we ingested from our home org. We have lead underscore home and contact underscore home. So let's explore lead underscore home and we will click on review mapping. Now this lead underscore home is mapped to plenty of data model objects by default as a part of sales starter bundle. If you see, this lead underscore home is mapped with lead data model object which we already know, and then this is also mapped with individual data model object because lead is an individual within Salesforce Data 360. Now lead can have phone, email, address. So this lead underscore home data lake object is mapped with contact point address, contact point email, and it is mapped with contact point phone. We see that each data model object, the contact point data model object like contact point address, contact point email, contact point phone, is storing specific details about that individual. The details are contact point addresses like physical mailing address, address, city, country, latitude, longitude, postal code, state, and then we have contact point email storing email related details of an individual like email address, email last bounce, email latest bounce, and then it also stores phone number. We have contact point phone data model object which stores phone like telephone number, formatted phone number. Similarly, we can go and explore contact underscore home data lake object. We can review mapping and we see that this contact underscore home data lake object is mapped to one data model object which is account contact, and this contact underscore home data lake object is a profile category object. So it is also mapped with individual, and apart from individual it also contains email, phone, address. So it is mapped with contact point address, it is mapped with contact point email, it is mapped with contact point phone. So all the individuals will have contact points which should be mapped with contact point data model objects. Now we will explore how to map our individual data with contact point data model objects. Let's go to our secondary data lake objects. We will open lead underscore secondary data lake object and we will click on review option. We have already mapped our lead underscore secondary data lake object to lead data model object. and then we have also mapped lead underscore secondary data lake object to individual data model object. Now this lead underscore secondary data lake object has email address, which we have to map it with contact point email. From the search menu, we will search for contact point email. Click on plus icon and we will click on done option. We see that contact point email data model object is mapped to lead underscore secondary data lake object, but there are key fields which are not mapped. For example, the primary key field of contact point email data model object is contact point email ID. Now every contact point data model object will have a primary key, and this primary key should be mapped to the primary key of data lake object. For example, we are mapping lead underscore secondary with contact point email. So lead underscore secondary's lead ID will be mapped to contact point email data model objects contact point email ID primary key. We will click on save and close. Now the email of lead underscore secondary data lake object should be mapped to email address of contact point email, because contact point email generally stores email address of a particular individual. Similarly, we have to map other details of this lead underscore secondary data lake object to other contact point data model objects. Like we have phone number, so we have to map this phone number with phone contact point data model object. We will search contact point phone within the search option. We will click on plus icon and we will click on done. We see that this contact point phone data model object is mapped to lead underscore secondary data lake object. Now this contact point phone data model object has contact point phone ID, which requires a primary key of lead underscore secondary data lake object to be mapped. So we will search for lead ID from the data lake object and map it to contact point phone ID. Similarly, we have phone from data lake object, which we have to map with phone number of contact point data model object. We will map phone with telephone number and we will click on save option. The lead underscore secondary data lake object also has address like city, like country, and we have to map all these with contact point address data model object. So now we will click on this pencil icon and we will search for contact point address data model object. We will search contact point address in the search bar. We will click on plus icon and click on done option. Now lead underscore secondary data lake object is mapped to contact point address data model object. This contact point address data model object has contact point address ID, which we have to map it with lead ID from the data lake object. We will select lead ID and we will map it with contact point address ID. Similarly, on leads we have address details stored, like we have city, which is mapped to city. We have country, which is mapped to country. We have state, which is mapped to state. So we can click on save and close option. The same thing we can do with contact underscore secondary data lake object. We will click on contact underscore secondary data lake object. We will click on review. We see that contact underscore secondary data lake object is mapped to account contact data model object and individual, but it also has email, it also has phone details, it also has address details. So we have to map it with respective contact point data model objects. So let's map email address first. We will click on this pencil icon. From the search bar, we will search contact point email. We will click on plus icon and we will click on done option. We see that contact point email data model object is mapped. We can scroll down and map contact point email ID with contact ID. So we will select contact ID from left hand side and map it to contact point email ID. We have email of contact, which should be mapped to email address of contact point email data model object. We can click on save option. Similarly, we will select contact point phone data model object. We will click on plus icon and we will click on done option. We will map contact ID with contact point phones contact point phone ID. Similarly, we will map phone details with contact point phone. Like we have home phone, which should be mapped to telephone number of contact point phone data model object. We will click on save option. Contact underscore secondary has address as well, so we will map address details with contact point address. We will click on pencil icon. We will search for contact point address. We will click on plus and we will click on done option. We see that contact point address data model object is mapped. We can map contact ID with contact point address ID. We can map city with city. We can map state with state. We can map country with country and we can click on save and close.